Hey, this is Mike Bloom with the Studio for Teaching and Learning Innovation. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you from beginning to end how to record your video, how to record your class in a Zoom session, and then to post that to your Blackboard site. There are a bunch of steps involved, and we're going to go through each of those steps in turn so that you understand them all. You can stop the video at any time and you can replay it. But we're basically going to be going through 4 basic steps. The first step, we're going to be provisioning our Blackboard site for accepting videos in Panopto. So that's the first step, and I'll show you how to provision your Blackboard site for Panopto. First step you're going to want to do is, I'm in a Blackboard site. This is a brand spanking new Blackboard site. I'm going to go up to the top here where my menu item is, and I see the plus here. And under the plus, if I hover over that, if I'm not seeing that plus, that means my edit mode is turned off. I'm going to want to come over here to the top right and make sure edit mode is turned on. Once edit mode is turned on, I'll see this plus here at the top left of my menu. And I'm going to create a tool link, and that's going to allow me to provision Panopto for my course. And I'm going to call this Panopto. And now under type, I'm going to choose, instead of announcements, I'm going to choose Panopto Course Tool Application. And I'm not going to make this available to users because this is a course area that I just want to shop out of. I don't want to give students access to this. And I'll click on Submit. And now you notice I have Panopto. It appears at the bottom of my menu here. I'm going to click on that Panopto. And now I have to configure the course. You'll only have to do this once, but I'm going to configure the course. And I'm going to add the course to Panopto. And that's it. I'll return to my course. And now next time I click on that Panopto link, you'll see it looks different. It doesn't tell me to configure the course. It's now a folder. It's an empty folder inside Panopto that I can have access to. So that's all I'm going to do with Blackboard for now. Next step, we're going to open up Zoom and we're going to create a meeting to make sure that the meeting is recorded automatically to the cloud. That way I'm not going to make any mistakes when I record my class session. As soon as I open that particular meeting, that class session will be recorded. So I'm going to go to cwm.zoom.us here, and I always like to go there in Chrome, and I always like to go to Zoom not from the application but from the website. It's going to be a much better experience for you, and you're not going to get as many errors. So I'm going to go to cwm.zoom.us, and I'm going to click on Sign In, and I'm going to sign in with my William & Mary account. I've already signed in to something else on this computer, so it signs me in automatically, which is kind of nice. So I must have signed into my email account or something. So now I'm going to schedule a new meeting, and this is going to be my course session. Let's say I'm teaching a class on Tuesday, Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. So I'm going to schedule a new meeting, and I'll call this Class 1. And now here's where I'll tell it what time it is. It doesn't really matter, but it just kind of keeps everything straight. So 2 p.m. for 1 hour, and now I'll make it a recurring meeting, and I want it to start on August 20th, let's say. That'll be the first day of class. So now it'll be a recurring meeting, and instead of daily, I'm going to make it weekly, and now I can choose Tuesday, Thursday, and I can say end date, and I can choose an end date, the end of the semester. I'll choose November 26th just to be safe. So now I've created that meeting. It's going to be a 1-hour meeting every Tuesday, Thursday. And now I have some options. Registration required. Well, I don't really care about that. I don't care about too many of these. The one thing I do want to do is I'm going to uncheck the waiting room because I want students to come into the room regardless of whether or not I'm there already. But that's a personal preference. You might want to make that waiting room, you might want to lock that room until you get there. And so now here's the other option that you are going to want to choose. Enable join before host, I like to choose. And the other thing that I'm going to choose is record the meeting automatically. And now instead of on the local computer, I'm going to choose in the cloud. And I'll click on save. Okay, so now I'm done with that. Now that meeting is created, and here's the invite link, and that's going to be something that I can copy and share with my students. So that's the next step. That step is to create your Zoom meeting and have it automatically record your session to the cloud. Now, I want to do something a little bit fun here. I want the students to have access to this meeting right from my Blackboard site. I don't want to have to send them an email every time. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click on the invite link here that I see. And I'm going to copy the link address. If I don't have a right-click, I can just hover over it and do Control-C for copy, or Command-C if you're on a Windows machine or a Mac. But anyway, copy that link. And then I'm going to go to back to my Blackboard site, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new item. I'm going to go plus, and I'm going to create a new content area this time, and I'm going to call this Zoom sessions or live Zoom sessions. And I'll make that available to users this time because I want students to know when they are. And I'm going to drag this up to the top. So to drag it, if you notice, if I hover over live Zoom sessions, you see that pointy finger. But if I hover over on the left-hand side, I can drag it, and I'll pull it up pretty high up in the list. And I'll click on the live Zoom sessions area. And here's where I'm going to add that link that we copied from the Zoom session before. So I'll go to Build Content, and I'm going to make it easy on myself. I'm going to click Web Link, and I'll click on Web Link. And here's where I will say class sessions in the name, and then in the URL, I'm going to paste that same link that we got from before. And that's it. I can check some of the other options. Everything else should be okay, and I'll click on Submit. And now that class sessions is active. And now if you'll notice, if I click on the class sessions, and if my students click on the class sessions, no matter what time it is, it doesn't have to be that exact time, and I can write in here what time the class sessions are so that they don't forget, but this is the basics that you'll need. And I click on the on the link, and you'll see it automatically tries to open up in Zoom, and then it'll open up right in Zoom into that correct class session. And here it is, it's working. And now if you notice, the recording is automatic, so it's already recording. And then once I stop the recording, it'll say stop cloud recording. But I don't want to stop the cloud recording. I want to end the session, and that will stop the recording. I'll say end, and then end meeting for all. And then I get a pop-up that says you will get an email notification when the cloud recording is ready. So perfect. That's all I need to do. So now I've recorded that class session. Now what's going to happen behind the scenes is Zoom is going to move that content eventually over to Panopto. So let's go ahead and take a look at Panopto right now and see what's going on, because that's going to be the next step. We're going to move the content. We're going to move that content from Panopto, the folder that it goes into automatically, and we're going to move that into the correct folder that we just created for the course. Okay, so I'm going to go to Panopto, and Panopto we can get to very easily by typing in panopto.wm.edu in our URL. And I'll click on Enter. So my Panopto will look a little different than yours, but they're going to basically look similar. What I like to do when I get to Panopto is I go to Browse, and then I click on the My Folders link here because I have so many folders, but you may not have to do that. I like to just click on My Folders at the top. Don't be confused with the My Folder. This is My Folders. My Folder, you'll notice, has a little arrow next to it, and I'll click on that to expand the My Folder. And if you take a look here, I have a lot of folders inside my Folder, but the one that you're interested in is the Meeting Recordings folder, because that's where all the recordings from Zoom to Panopto are going. And I'll click on Meeting Recordings. Okay, perfect. So that's the recordings that I have so far. The one that I just recorded is not there, but that's okay. I want to move this Michael Bloom's personal meeting room from my meeting recordings to the course that we provisioned earlier in Blackboard. If you remember back before, we provisioned that course to accept Panopto. So let's do that. So I'm in Panopto right now, and if you notice, I hover over this video thumbnail, and you see a little box appear, and I'll click on the box to check that box. And I can choose as many of these videos if I want to move a bunch of them at once. And then I just want to move this one, for example. And now if you notice, when I click on that box, I get all these buttons appear filter by date, delete. You don't have copy, move, share, but you have move, and that's what you're going to do right now. So I'll click on move. And remember why we're doing this. We're moving it from this bulk area, this bulk folder, that Zoom puts everything into in Panopto, and we're moving it into that course folder so that you don't get confused and that you can really fine-tune things. So now if you notice, it says move sessions 2, and I'm going to pull down on this list, and I have a lot of classes. So I'm going to have a hard time finding it. So I'll have to remember what my class was called. And I think it was called something like, let me find it here, Cradle to Grave. Okay, so I'm going to type in Cradle. And there it is, MX Bloom Cradle, Cradle to Grave, right? So I'll click on that. And now that's where it wants to move it to. And I'm like, great, move it there. I'll click move. It's done. I'll click on the X. And now I've moved it, and you notice it's gone from here. So if I want to find it, I can make sure that it's moved to the right place. Again, I can click on Browse in my Panopto. And then I can search my folders, and I can type the name of the folder again. I can type in Cradle, and hopefully it will appear. And there it is, Cradle to Grave recording. So I'll click on that, and there's that one that I moved. Perfect. Everything is good. Everything is great. I can edit this file if I want, but I'm just going to make it simple. Now, the last step is to activate it in your Blackboard site. So how are we going to do that? I'm going to jump back to that Blackboard site, and let's say that I want to post that Zoom session, the video of the live Zoom session below the actual live class session. So students just have a link to the class sessions, and then they have all the videos below. Well, to do that, I'm going to go to Build Content in my Blackboard site. And remember, before we added a web link, but this time we're going to add a Panopto video embed. And I'll click on that. And now take a look. The video that we moved to the correct folder is now in that correct folder. And we did that in Panopto so that it's available to us in Blackboard. And I'll click on the little box here, the little radio button, and I'll click Insert Video. And that's it. My video is inserted in place in Blackboard. So that's how you go from your Zoom recording to your embed in Blackboard as simply as possible.